Hi everyone and welcome. We're just waiting for a couple of more attendees. We're going to start this webinar shortly. Just bear with us. Right, guys, we're about to start. Just a quick note, there will be a live recording available after the session, as well as if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the Q&A section, please. So hi everyone and welcome to the Sophos Live webinar on email security best practices. In today's session, we'll be looking at some best practices with regards to Sophos Central Email Protection. A survey was done in 2018 and 3,100 managers from 12 countries participated. The responses were taken and as a result, 53% of attacks on businesses were due to phishing emails, 41% due to data breaches, 35% due to malicious code and software exploits, 30% due to ransomware, as well as 21% of attacks were due to credential theft. For over 30 years, Sophos has been delivering innovative, simple, and high-effective cybersecurity solutions to IT professionals. And we understand that securing your organization today has a lot to do with educating employees around your cybersecurity threats they are facing. In the past, attackers would target systems, applications, and networks. Today, they often target the weakest link within your organization, social engineering and deception. Although organizations do respond to these threats they are facing, they respond using traditional security methods which obviously can't keep up with new threats. From the threats most experienced, customers still saw malicious emails as their top security challenge. Phishing is not an end in itself, rather it's the start of a multi-stage complex cyber attack. When it comes to the motive behind the phishing attacks, for example, what the crooks are after, 59% have a direct financial goal, infecting systems with ransomware, or impersonating senior managers, to convince employees to transfer them funds or valuable employee data. As well as 41% of phishing attacks are motivated by trying to obtain access to a company's network, in order to steal personal data or gain control of security systems. With that in mind, let's have a look at some of the techniques cybercriminals use in their phishing attacks. In a real-world scenario, cybercriminals need to combine multiple complex techniques to compromise a system. The greatest risk from attackers is not individual campaigns, it's connected attacks. The first stage is delivery or entry point. This is where Sophos email protection sits in the threat chain. Cybercriminals always plan out new, easy ways to break into systems and maneuver around networks. But with that being said, phishing attacks are also becoming hugely popular with cybercriminals. It's far easier to trick someone into clicking a malicious link or opening an attachment than trying to break through a computer security defenses. Looking at the cyber attack chain and the coordinated manner of these attacks, not one technology or solution will be sufficient to mitigate all threats. Hence, no silver bullet, but a mixture of solutions. as we will see in the upcoming slides. Best industry practices like comprehensive security strategy, user awareness, and the like have been used in the past to try and mitigate email-based threats. However, more needs to be done, and that's where Sophos email protection comes in. Email is a huge threat vector. Spam, phishing, business email compromise, ransomware can all be used as email attack vectors. Email provides an attacker with a direct line to a victim. While there's no silver bullet when it comes to phishing, we can assist you at every point in the attack chain, starting with phishing, visibility, and education. As well as to back that up, we offer pre- and post-delivery protection. And where it really gets interesting, when linking Sophos endpoint with synchronized security, you can stop your organization from unknowingly sending out outbound spam and phishing emails. Right, guys, let's have a look at best practice configuration settings on Sophos Central email protection. With Sophos email protection, each email is scanned against our spam rules. The higher the score, the more likely the message is to be spam. Messages are categorized based on their spam score, and you can choose how the category is processed. Confirmed spam are messages that conform to known verified spam patterns. Bulk messages are messages sent using mass mailing, for example, newsletters, as well as emails sent to you from a mailing list. Suspected spam pass through many different checks. Each one adds to the likelihood of it being spam. If the score associated to the email is above the threshold deemed clean and below the threshold deemed confirmed spam, then it will fall into the suspected spam group. Also, for each category, an action must be assigned. We can either quarantine, deliver, or delete the specified spam email. When you turn on smart banners, a banner is displayed at the top of your inbound email message to show you if the email is trusted. Before turning on smart banners, I would recommend configuring your outbound gateway to route traffic through Sophos. This means that we can strip the banner on replies and forwards outside the company. Also note here, you can edit the text within each banner if needed. Another great feature is sender checks. Sender checks allows you to verify whether an email is legitimate or not. Sophos email uses DMARC, SPF, DKIM, as well as header anomalies to do this. Sender checks is performed in the order they appear in the user interface. If an email fails the first sender check, the other checks will not be carried out. Note you can override the sender checks by adding domains and email addresses to the allow list within general settings. With time of click protection, URLs contained within inbound messages are rewritten, so they point to the Sophos email gateway instead of the original destination. When we click a link, Sophos email performs a SXL lookup, and if the link is malicious, access will be blocked. If the URL is clean, the action taken will depend on the option specified within the policy. You can also apply enhanced email content scanning. The first setting here is enhanced email content and file property scan. This is our highest level of protection against emails which contains malware. The setting applies to inbound and outbound messages. Note, should malware be detected in a message, it will always be dropped. The second setting here is unscanned emails. This setting applies to inbound messages only. You can choose what happens to the messages that's not scannable. Choose from quarantine, delete, or deliver. Another great Sophos feature is Sophos Sandstorm. Sophos Sandstorm sends emails that may contain active malicious content to an isolated cloud host virtual environment hosted by Sophos. These messages are opened and checked to identify if they contain any malware. Sandstorm is designed to protect against zero-day threats. If the email are found to be malicious, they are dropped instantly. This works through behavioral monitoring and, amongst other checks, leverages the power of Intercept X. So how does Sophos Sandstorm select files for execution in the sandbox? The pre-filter is our first stage of analysis, benefiting from over 30 years of data from Sophos labs. This is where we identify known safe files. None of these files flow through the sandbox. This makes up 30% of files we see. Each time a file is sent to Sophos Sandstorm for analysis, we track the results. This means all legitimate files are added to a clean list. As well as all malicious files, feedback is added to our antivirus updates and block list. Before submitting sample files to Sophos Sandstorm, a checksum of the file is taken. This is compared to a list of files that has been previously scanned from all companies. If the same file has already been submitted by someone else but deemed clean, the file would not be submitted for analysis, thus improving the performance of the system based on the community submissions. The next 10% we eliminate as known bad files, which will not be sent to the sandbox, since the selection logic is already using our antivirus scanning engine. Any files already detected as malware does not need to be sent to the sandbox. So there we just eliminated 40% of traffic. The next 40% fall in a category of unknown files, but files which appear to be safe. The reason being, most documents and PDFs does not contain active content and are unlikely to be exploit-related files. Therefore, while unknown, we determine them to be safe. And so we select the unknown bad malicious files for detonation within the sandbox environment. You'll also see some example criteria here: Windows executables, documents containing active content, as well as other scripts and files that's known to be used as an attack vector. If we zoom into the sandbox process, once the file has been submitted and executed, we can see the advanced features at work. CryptoGuard is present, detecting ransomware and preventing rapid encryption of files. WipeGuard, on the other hand, works to protect the master boot record from malicious encryption. And with the additional machine learning protection, we observe all the behavioral characteristics of the file. We can now look at machine learning score of an executable file to detect previously unknown malware. And thanks to this, we're now stopping 10% more of executable malware files. With data loss prevention, DLP, we can stop data from being leaked by email. There are two different types of DLP rules. The first rule allows you to filter messages which contains potentially malicious attachment file types. With this rule, you are able to quarantine, delete, or log attachments specified within the filter. The second rule allows you to filter text into an attachment name, subject, or message body. What this will allow you to do is to either quarantine or delete a specific email with the keyword specified. Right, guys, let's have a quick look at a demo I've prepared on Sophos Central email protection. Right, guys, so I've already got a console open here. Right, so from my products list over here, we get email gateway. Let's wait for it to load quick. All right, so from the dashboard, we can see how many potential threats has been detected, as well as how many mailboxes and emails has been scanned. So over here, we can see 302 potential threats was detected. We see our mailboxes that's been scanned, as well as our emails has been scanned. It's 516 over here. Right, so just note I am on a read-only demo account here, so I don't see everything on this demo account. So essentially, we'd see outbound activity summary as well here. You'll see an advanced threat summary reports over here as well. As well as if you have any users at risk, you would have seen them here, as well as you get some global security news over here. Right, our next tab we have is our logs and reports. So we can view all our message history from here. So it shows logs of all mail processed by the system. as well as we have some additional reports over here. So we have a message summary report, an ATP report, time to click summary report, at-risk users report, as well as a DLP policy violations report. All right. Our next tab here is people. So essentially you would need to add all the guys' email addresses and things in here to configure their mailboxes. All right, so basically we can't see an add button here because I'm on a read-only account, but essentially you would see an add user button over here. You can also pull the users from your Active Directory. So by using this Active Directory sync utility over here. Right, our next tab is on mailboxes. So essentially to configure your mailboxes, you would need to configure your domain for inbound and outbound routing. I'll get to that in a moment. But as you guys can see, I've already configured some mailboxes here. Right, so our next tab is quarantined messages. I'll just quickly go back to yesterday. So I'll just quickly show you guys this first one here. So we can see the details of the message. We can see the raw header of the message. You can see the original message as well. And if there was any attachments, we would have seen them here. Right, there should be an option actually here to release these mails if you wanted to. Right, our next section here is our policies. So with email gateway, we get two policies. So we get a email gateway policy, our first one over here. Right, so from here, we can do our spam filtering, which we talked about now. So confirm spam, we can either quarantine, deliver, or drop it. We can do it for bulk spam and suspected spam. Right, we can also set up our smart banners over here. So we can do it for trusted messages, unknown messages, as well as untrusted messages. And we can also edit the banner text over here. All right, then next we get our sender checks. So remember, if it fails your first check, it's not even going to go through to your other checks over here. So we have DMARC, SPF, DKIM, and header anomalies. So header anomalies is emails that appears to come from your domain but originates externally. All right. Also, we have our enhanced email malware scan settings over here. So enhanced content and file property scan, this would scan inbound and outbound emails for malware related files. And then unscanned emails would just scan for inbound traffic only. Right, then we also have our time of click protection here for high risk URLs, medium risks, or unverified URLs. And you have an action to block, warn, or drop them. As well as we have Sandstorm protection here, which you can enable. And we have this new function, impersonation protection. So impersonation protection detects phishing emails that pretend to come from well-known brands or from important people within your organization. So this is a really nice feature we released recently. Right, and essentially that's our first policy. Then if we look at our DLP policies, go into one of them. Right, so essentially these rules are configured by default. So we get an attachment file type rule here. So this first rule allows you to filter messages which contains potentially malicious attachment file types. Right, so I'm just going to show you guys quickly if I create my own rule. So you have a couple of templates here. I'll just use the protect using attachment file types. Give it a name quick. Right, so you can either use a Sophos list over here, which is pre-configured already, or you can use a custom list. So I'll just go into data here and we'll maybe use file extensions for, let's say, PCAP files. Right, so essentially any email that has that attachment, you can quarantine it, strip the attachments, redirect messages, delete it, or log it. That's if you wanted to build your own rule. And with regards to our second rule over here, keywords, so what this rule allows you to do is to filter text into an attachment name, subject, or message body. Right, so I'll just quickly show you guys that one as well. So protect using keywords. All right, so you can do it for a word or phrase or a regular expression. So I'll just use word or phrase here. Use maybe banking details. Right, so essentially any email that comes in which contains banking details, you can quarantine, strip the attachments, same functions as our other rule. Right, and that's essentially how you would configure your DLP policies. You can do this for inbound traffic and for outbound traffic. Right, so another thing to mention here, you can add your domain to scan inbound and outbound emails. You would need to essentially do this to set up email gateway and get your mailboxes configured. All right, so this account's already set up. I'm just going to quickly show you guys. So you would add your domain over in here and you would actually verify it. Once it's verified, you can either route inbound only or inbound and outbound. All right. So our inbound destination settings would be for either a mail host or an MX record. All right. And our outbound gateway would be for Microsoft Office 365. That's just some default templates we have here, as well as you can use a custom gateway if you wanted to. Right, and essentially that's how you would set up email gateway for Sophos Central. Right, so do we have any questions at this point? Edward, if you can just maybe check for me if there's any questions.
No questions yet.
Right, let's just give it a minute or so. If anyone has a question.
Okay, no questions are coming through. Then we can carry on.
All right. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can just email me with your questions and I'll respond as soon as I can. Right, so that brings us to the end of the Sophos presentation. In summary, we have now discussed some key points with regards to Sophos Central email protection. So thank you guys for your time and for joining the Sophos webinar. I hope to see you all next time. Right, thanks all. Yeah, Edward, I think we can close the webinar.
Okay.
If anyone has a question, I'll just respond on email.
Okay, I'm just going to put your email in the chat.
Thanks.
There we go.
Right, thanks everyone for coming and yeah, enjoy the rest of the day.